From the author of Spinsterella, The Strange and Unusual Romance and Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black comes the legendary Magic Silver. Pick up the conclusions of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers this Halloween. When I look at Marvel Comics these days, I see a lot of parallels to Fox News. Now, a lot of people remember over 2 years ago that there was a huge scandal at Fox News that forced Roger Ailes, the head of Fox News, to retire, and led to Bill O'Reilly and several others being fired from Fox News. And this sexual harassment scandal that wound up destroying the careers of Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly and many others at Fox News is something that I see that may happen at Marvel Comics due to the ineptness of Tom Beverett and Axel Alonso and their hiring practices with this so-called milkshake crew. Because when I look at your so-called milkshake crew, they parallel what happened with many of the women at Fox News, because your milkshake crew, most of these so-called assistant editors, many of them are grossly unqualified, and many of them were hired because they were female and attractive. No different than the females who were on many of these Fox News shows who were just hired because they were attractive and they looked good in a skirt, and they would sit there with no underwear on, meant to try to stimulate many of these horny old men to stay and watch these Fox News shows. And when I look at this whole situation at Marvel Comics with this so-called milkshake crew, a group of grossly unqualified females inside of editorial jobs at Marvel, I see the foundations for what could be a sexual harassment scandal that could do major damage to the Marvel Comics brand and its owner Disney, in the same way that the Fox News scandal did devastating damage to the Fox News brand and its owner News Corp. Because when you have a group of females who are hired by a group of editors like your Axel Alonso and Tom Beverett based on their appearance and not their work qualifications, that leads to you having a situation which is right to lay the foundation for a sexual harassment scandal. And this is something I pointed out in my ebook, Stop Simping in the Workplace, because when you have a workplace simp in the workplace, he will hire females not based on their qualifications, but on their appearance and what type of covert contract he can get later on, such as a date or a relationship later on. And when a guy does this, what he's doing is he's giving these females leverage in the situation. This is something I talked about in the chapter, The Workplace Side Piece, because what happens in these situations is these guys will sit there and they will flirt with these females, they'll joke around with these females, and what will happen is these females, they'll go along with this stuff, but over time, they're building a case against these guys by documenting all the things they have said, documenting all the things they have done, and that's how they build leverage on these guys. And then when they can't get a promotion, like many of the females at Fox News couldn't get from Roger Ailes, they call themselves filing a sexual harassment lawsuit to get a payday. And some females will just do this because they feel that they have come as far as they want to go in this job. And what they will do is, again, they will file a sexual harassment lawsuit saying that this guy did things to me, and then get themselves a nice settlement, because most companies do not want to be known as a company that supports sexual harassment. And what they will do is they will do things to make a settlement as soon as possible. And what will happen is the guys who hired this woman, what will happen to them is they will wind up being forced to resign, like Roger Ailes did, with a tarnished reputation, and their careers will be pretty much done. And the reason they will be done is because these guys thought with the head between their legs instead of the brain between their ears. And because they didn't think with their brains and think critically before they hired this person, they didn't see the big picture related to hiring people and making sure that they do a job for you instead of trying to do a job for themselves. And when I look at the group of this SJW Marvel Milkshake crew, I see this type of disaster happening at Marvel Comics, because when it comes down to the editors, that executive editors like your Tom Beverett and your Axel Alonso, they are not really thinking critically about the long-term value of the brand. They're not thinking about the day-to-day business, and they are hiring people who are grossly unqualified, not understanding that these are people who don't like comics and are basically looking to use comics as a stepping stone. And if they can't get a job someplace else, what they'll do is they'll try to cash out by filing a sexual harassment lawsuit or some sort of lawsuit saying that they were wronged, and this is how they will go about getting their payday at Marvel's expense and Disney's expense. And this happens all the time whenever you have a workplace simp in the workplace, because the workplace simp isn't thinking about working towards building the business or improving the quality of the business. They're thinking about trying to get attention from women, favor from women, and pleasing women. And when you do that, you are setting up your business to fall completely apart. This is why I say that guys should stop simping in the workplace, because when you're a workplace simp, you are putting your business at risk of being inside of a situation that could be a possible sexual harassment lawsuit. When you hire grossly unqualified females and then they go start looking for promotions and then you don't give them to them, what happens is they then turn the tables on you and then say you sexually harassed them, you acted inappropriately with them, and because you hired them not based on their qualifications and merit, and just based on who they were, they now have the leverage to go into any courtroom and say that you were a sexual harasser, you were a sexual predator, when in actuality, they were predatory females who were looking to get a payday at your expense. And when I look at these guys at Marvel, I see a clear case of a textbook workplace simp, and I see a clear case of a workplace side piece situation getting ready to happen, and I see a disastrous scandal getting ready to happen on the same level that happened at Fox News just a couple of years ago. And this is all happening because, again, when you have executives who don't think about the big picture, they wind up thinking all about their personal business and not taking care of the business that they were hired to do business at. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of the SJS Direct titles like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, The Temptation of John Haynes, and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.